Does sex sell? Damn right it does. Listen in for a very frank conversation.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day listeners, and welcome back to another episode. Oh yeah, I'm back in my happy place of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners come to crank out some great marketing. Boy, it's good to be back. Just had a few days down the coast with the fam, suck in a bit of salt air and blow out the cobwebs. Gee, it was cold, but it was fun. Always good to get away and clear the head. Hey, today's episode, we talk sex. Oh yes, that ongoing marketing question, does sex sell? Probably no need to put the kids away. But I can't remember the exact... Did we mention any naughty words? I don't think so. Maybe just put them in the cupboard for the time being. We've got a listener question about podcasting. Listener wants to get a podcast up, and so he should. Net Registry are starting a new series of tips just for you. And got a forum update. So much marketing gold just dripping from the ceiling. Righto, so it is time for a Net Registry quick tip to get your online marketing sorted. What's the best platform to build your website on is what we're going to tackle for the next minute or so. If you're a business owner with a website, chances are you've heard of WordPress. It used to be known primarily as a blogging platform, and it remains the best solution for blogs. However, team, it is now a comprehensive content management system, aka CMS. It's used to power millions of websites around the world. WordPress is extremely flexible, adaptable, and if a specific feature isn't built in but needed by a user, then there are literally thousands of plugins available to enhance its functionality. Being an open source platform, WordPress is free. However, you might need to engage a web team to help you customize the look and feel to suit your brand and identify the right plugins for your website. The other great thing about WordPress is its ease of use. It makes adding, deleting, and updating content on your website a piece of cake. This has been another tip from our good mates at Net Registry who love getting your online marketing sorted. Check them out at netregistry.com.au and tell them Timbo sent you. Okay, gee guys, I have got so many listener questions stacking up from months and months, and I thought it would be good to put aside my usual rant or editorial and tackle a few listener questions over the coming weeks, or at least mix it up between rants and listener questions. This one is from Matthew Clink. And Matthew says, Timbo, I'm writing you today just to say thanks for what you do. I listen to many different podcasts and I came across yours on iTunes. It's fantastic. I really dig the depth that your episodes have. Thanks, Matt. Here's a little about me. I am an entrepreneur. I'm third generation in my small family business. I'm the only one who has ever really studied business in my family. Yeah, that's often the case. Interesting. My father died last June. Sorry to hear that, Matt. So it's thrust me into more of a leadership role in my company. 3 weeks ago, I broke my collarbone and I'm laid up at home. Boy, mate, that's a tough run. It's funny how a person can get so caught up in the day-to-day operations of their business and it takes breaking a collarbone to free up the time to review marketing strategies and other aspects of the business. Isn't that the case? Gosh, we can't wait till we break a collarbone, Matt. Lesson learnt, my friend. Now, he says, basically, I love businesses, but I love technology as well. I've never really blogged much, but I'm starting to come up with content now, and I see how vital it is. You bet it is. Very vital. In fact, there's a discussion inside the forum about there's a member asking whether content marketing really works, and I think you can guess what the response from myself and other members are. Back to Matt. I'd like to really start doing a podcast or two. I love sports. I also love sports. Any tips, tricks, or pointers you could give me on getting a podcast up and running? Matt, great question, mate. Sorry to hear about the tough run you've had, but well done for persevering and well done for getting excited about an aspect of marketing that I think is underdone in the form of podcasting. Hey, 6 tips to get you on the podcast straight and narrow, Matt. Here we go. Number 1, get clear on your why. My why is I love helping small business owners. What's yours, Matt? Number 2, be clear on your desired outcome. Do you want traffic? Do you want to build a personal brand? Do you want to generate sponsor revenue? Do you just want an outlet for your thoughts? Whatever. Get clear on it and be really clear on it. Number 3 tip to get your podcast up and running, Matt, is to get clear on your editorial mission. You would have heard me rant about that on previous episodes. We talk about it a lot in the forum. I'm not going to go into detail here, but it is imperative that you get clear on your editorial mission. Number 4, commit to an episode per week for 6 months. There you go. And don't look at the scoreboard. Don't wait for emails to come in, for the cash register to start ringing. Just start and create regular content. 1 episode a week, Matt, for 6 months. Get into a habit. Number 5, outsource all things technical. Equipment purchasing, editing, recording of intros and outros, writing of content, whatever it may be. Don't let those stop you from being the podcaster that you deserve to be. Too often we let the technical stuff get in the way and therefore don't do anything. And number 6, just start. Thanks, Matt, for the question, mate. If you do end up getting your podcast up and running, please do send me a link to tim@smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Thanks for your question, Matt. Okay, team, so lots going on in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. If you're not a member yet, head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, hit the forum button, and you'll get in there real quick. Now, I've got 4 members who actually are either have started or are getting close to launching their podcast. Well done, Danny, Diana, Sarah Jane, and Vineyard Paul. Love your work. Arne is heading off on a 52-week blog challenge. Arne, you are accountable now, my friend. We're all watching. 52 weeks, 1 blog a week. Love it. And I know you can absolutely do it in your sleep, mate, underwater. Number 3, another thing that is happening inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum, great discussion around recent episodes, particularly David Rain and Warwick Kappa. Wasn't sure how they'd go down, but there's some great learnings people are sharing from it. I did a monthly webinar recently where I got online with 4 members and we just chatted and sorted out some blockages you had around your marketing and answered some questions. There's a recording of that inside the forum, and just great sharing of little wins and big wins. In fact, Sean from betterbox.com.au, that's BETTA box.com.au, has had a great win in his packaging business, and he's off to Korea for a few months. So love people succeeding. Well done to you. Well done to all the forum members for being in there and being so motivated around your marketing. Anyone else? Hope to see you in there real soon. Okay, let's tackle the big question. Does sex sell? I think we know the answer to that, team, without actually having to do this interview. But thanks to Dan Norris, long-time listener and Facebook friend, etc., owner of WP Curve. He introduced me to Jess and Erica from Frank Body Scrub. They are a coffee-based body scrub business. And Jess and Erica, with 2 of 5 business partners, they own a marketing agency actually, and they've actually come up with this as a kind of secondary little business. It's an inspiring story of a brand that's just 12 months old. We talk about how to nail Instagram because they have a very strong sense of the brand. It's a brand, a very confident brand, and we talk about how they got so clear on it. And it's cleverly walking the fine line between sort of soft porn and celebration of the female body. And these 2 young girls in their 20s explain how and why they've gone about marketing Frank Body Scrub in the way they have. All will become clear. I started off by asking them which voice judge they'd most prefer.
Sex bomb, yeah, you're a sex bomb.
I hate that show, so
Wow.
just would never ever go on it. Sorry if you're tied to it at all.
Who are our choices? I don't watch it.
Oh, girls, I thought you were commercial animals, and it's like...
I don't own a TV, so...
Love it.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
Gen Y. Okay, I'll tell you who they are. Will.i.am, Kyles, Joel Madden, Ricky Martin.
Will.i.am. Ricky Martin.
I I don't know who's talking to me, so I'm just going to have to go with it. We can't each time go, this is Jess, and I say, Will I am.
We're essentially like one brain anyway, so...
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Hey, so let's get stuck into a bit of Frank Body. Where'd the idea come from?
Well, one of our business partners, Steve, owns a cafe in Paran, and he had a couple of women that kept coming in and asking him for the old coffee grind. And he's quite inquisitive and has quite the entrepreneurial mind, and started talking to them about it after realising that they weren't using it for what he thought they were, which was fertiliser. And turned out there was actually really great body exfoliant.
Wow.
Around about the same time, we actually all went away on a holiday to Bali where they use coffee scrub treatments quite a lot. We realised that we kind of had the skill sets essentially to try and form a business based around this, and there was nobody really doing anything like this. And that's where like the basic idea came from. That would have been in January of 2013.
I guess to give you a bit of background, so Jess and myself and one of the other business partners of Frank Bree have Willow and Blake, which is a copywriting agency, and we also specialise in social media. So it's a service that we offer clients across quite a wide range of industries, products and services. So for us, it was quite natural to do that for our own product. And we'd kind of been looking around and trying to come up with an idea that we could market primarily through Instagram and with an online sales platform. And when this idea came up, it seemed like a no-brainer. There weren't any competitors. There were a lot of do-it-yourself recipes online to make coffee scrubs, but no one was packaging it and marketing it in a clever way. So we thought, why not?
How much? So the idea, because you guys previously or still have, you've got a copywriting and social media agency. Was there always a wish for you to go, gee, wouldn't it be good if we actually had our own product that we could weave our own magic with instead of just growing our clients' businesses?
Definitely. I think just to be able to work on a brand where you weren't restricted in any way by, say, the heritage of the brand or other people's opinions or their ideas or visions. So for us, or Bree, Jess and I, we are very much one brain, so knew we could come up with, I guess, a strategy that we were all on the same page for, and then the boys really looked after production and shipping and bringing it all together, like everyone looking after one particular role and doing that well.
Were you actively looking for a product that you could work on that was your own, or was this the first time something had come along?
We knew that, like, we'd expressed to each other that it was something we wanted to do, and I think we're all on the same page that it would be an everyday product that was so simple and logical for someone to use without any barriers to entry. And obviously beauty is a huge part of a woman's daily routine, so we kind of felt
and blokes?
Of course,
Come on.
Well,
I've moisturised today.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I guess for us, because we play so much on social media, we knew that the target market there would be females, so it was providing a product for them to use. And also, I guess, to make their beauty routine at home less taboo, something that they'd feel more open about sharing on social media and talking about.
They've certainly shared themselves on social media. I'll come to that, girls, in a minute. But Frank Body is a brand that knows exactly what it stands for, and that seems now obvious, the fact that you guys are marketers and copywriters by trade. Tell us about the brand building process that you went through in terms of, what questions did you ask to come up with the name, the logo, the packaging, the tone of the copy. It's a very confident brand.
Yes. I guess for us, like whenever we're going through the branding process, it's always a bit of a mix of trying to find a way that we can be really honest and upfront about what something is, and I guess being humble, but also still finding a way to differentiate ourselves from anything else that's out there. Trying to be quite clever and I guess inject a bit of wit where we can. I guess we noticed that other brands in the beauty industry kind of had this really formulaic approach to the way that they would talk about things, and it just wasn't very real. I think we always wanted Frank to be able to kind of speak to people in real terms and at least give them something a little bit humorous to look at. I guess that an important aspect when it came to Frank is that because the product is quite simple and it is just coffee with a couple of other nice ingredients, that we didn't want to dress it up in bells and whistles and pretend that it was something that it wasn't. It was always just about being really honest and, funnily enough, being really frank about what the product was, which is kind of where the original brand idea came from.
We also, I guess, so that was our name, and whilst we had figured out and tested different ingredients for the product and perfecting that, and also realising that we had to use fresh coffee grinds just for the fact of the caffeine targeting skin conditions. But then we were sort of looking at, obviously, with postage, which is a big part of the business, and having a flat pack product that we can send out in the regular post, which was amazing from a business side, but at first glance limited us quite in terms of the brand. And so we sort of like, we've got this simple product, simple packaging. How do we convey that and keep that consistent but work it to our advantage? So whilst we kind of sat down and then thought that everyone, I guess, was talking about products or even services on social from a company perspective or a we perspective, that we really wanted to personify this product because nobody was doing that. And to be frank about all different things, and it would be funny if it was all these sort of isms coming from a personality, commenting on social, and not limiting it just to talking about our product, but just across a wide kind of array of topics.
One thing you've done very well, and a previous guest of recent weeks on this show is Miss Chu of Miss Chu Vietnamese Tuck Shops. And what you've both done is you've got a strong idea behind in the naming of your brand and in the personality of your brand, and you've committed that idea throughout every touch point. So the copy on the website, the copy on the packaging, the look of the packaging, the images that you use. Many small business owners struggle with this, guys. So I'm just, what advice can you give them to like really identify an idea and own it throughout their marketing?
Yeah, I think that's been a huge thing for us at Willow and Blake in the services that we offer our clients, is applying your tone of voice to all of your marketing assets, from your website copy to your PR material to your social to any printed collateral, just so that people are hearing, whether it's a single message or maybe you have two messages, but that those same messages across the board and from one tone of voice, so they don't feel like they're dealing with, say, a robot from HR or a factory worker or just a PR person, that it really feels like a strong brand that consumers can identify with. And I guess finding that difference, like not comparing yourself to whether it's competing products or just people in the industry or other industries, but really finding your own niche and concentrating on what you can say, not what others are saying.
I think that's so important because I often say we live in a world of sameness, and you know the reality is there's no shortage of body scrubs. You say there's a shortage of caffeine-based body scrubs, but in the category of body scrubs, there's lots. So what's going to differentiate you? What's going to differentiate any business is the ability to create a really emotionally engaging brand.
Exactly, and I mean, Frank, when people use it in the shower, it's messy. You look like you covered yourself in dirt, so rather than trying to hide those factors, we thought we would embrace them and put a fun spin on them and work that into our marketing campaign and just make it simple and honest and kind of be proud of those things.
Righto. Well, that is a wonderful segue. I don't know whether that was Jess or Erica, but that is a wonderful segue into looking dirty in the shower, because you have chosen Instagram as kind of, I'm guessing, your major platform for communicating Frank body, and there are lots of pictures of women and the odd man in varying degrees of undress in and out of the shower, covered in what is a coffee scrub.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram strategy?
We can't tell you all our secrets.
Come on. Come on.
Like a huge component for us, like with any brand that we work with, is always finding a way that we can encourage user-generated content. Because, like we always say this, but essentially if you can create your little own army of marketers for you and help really generate some word of mouth, it's always quite strong. I mean, peer opinion is probably one of the most trusted opinions. So for us, it's an integral part of like building the brand credibility.
Okay, how do you do that?
Well, we started doing it ourselves, basically, like taking photos of our legs covered in Frank and posting them on the Frank account. I guess putting the idea in people's heads that this is how you engage with the brand online. We also really strongly encourage the message through all of our brand collateral. So whenever someone received the scrub in the post, there was a flyer that came with it that kind of encouraged people to take these photos, and you supply them with everything they need. So as long as you make it easy for them, they'll hopefully participate in it. So we would give them the handles and the hashtags and all that kind of stuff. So really all they had to do was kind of take a photo of what they were already doing.
Yeah. I think it was important as well for them to just see the product in use, because at the start it was just coffee in a brown paper bag. So they'd either see the package or maybe not be that aware of what a coffee scrub was. So it was cool for them to see the consistency of the scrub, the texture, how it was used, and that to even persuade them more so into buying.
So one of the things with your Instagram, you've got 350,000 followers. Now, I'm a 46-year-old bloke, and I don't kind of get that, because part of me looks at that and says, okay, there's lots of great pics of very attractive people covered in coffee scrub. There's not a lot of engagement well, let me just click on a pic. There's sort of a bit of engagement. I've clicked on one pic of a very attractive girl. Someone's gone, this babe is blah, blah. Someone's gone gorgeous. Someone else says kind of looks like Jez. But it's not like, it's pretty, what's the word? I was going to say it's shallow engagement, but tell me more about how all this 350,000 followers comes along and then that translates into sales.
Yeah.
I guess, for us, it's not always about having every brand message be about Frank. Mm-hmm. I guess we really wanted to create, a little community around the brand, and it's about just kind of sharing content that doesn't always necessarily need to be informative or instructional, but just stuff that's quite fun. I don't think people go onto Instagram looking for deep and meaningful and engaging conversation. They go to flick through and look at a photo for a few seconds before they move on to the next thing. So that's why we keep the content on there quite surface level, because that's what the platform's for. And we use things like our blogs or our EDMs to go into a lot more detail. Right.
Okay. And Instagram, so 350,000 subscribers or followers, that's significant. Have you got any insights into how a business could at least start to develop some type of following on Instagram?
I think the first thing is not expecting to have 350,000 followers for any one particular product. It's been really interesting seeing the clients that come to Willow and Blake referencing Frank and say perhaps they have a gardening product or a cleaning product. And I guess we've worked really hard to build up that following with specific strategies, but the beauty industry and the health and well-being kind of industry lends itself really well to Instagram. It seems that users are kind of engaging in that platform in a sense of constructing an idea of themselves and in building their own personal brands. And it just it plays out really well to them saying these are the brands I engage with or these are the products that I use. So we've been lucky in that regard. And then I think collaborations and sharing content is always at the core of what we try to do. So working with particular people in the industry, bloggers and social media kind of influencers, but then again, just trying to get the everyday consumer participating in social media and being advocates for our brand.
I was talking about that recently, the idea of brands like yours or even bigger brands chasing bloggers, podcasters, people with big YouTube channel followings. I don't think it's done enough, and I think it's a marketing strategy that's just waiting to be pounced upon. I've mentioned to my listeners, about a year ago, Microsoft 360 Office flew me down to Tassie for a media junket as a podcaster, and that's the first time, a brand has identified a group of podcasters as being influential. And obviously maybe you're not targeting podcasters yet, but the idea of targeting online influencers who have potentially smaller audiences than, say, a TV show or a magazine, it seems to be a smart thing to do.
Yeah, they seem to have more loyal followings as well,
yes.
Or I guess they're more accessible to the public, whereas for me, personally, and I guess that's what we've always tried to do, look at our campaigns as to whether we personally can engage with them, is that a celebrity per se almost seems too unattainable or too far out of our reach, whereas these influencers are almost a couple of steps down, that particularly for our audience of younger girls, that they feel like they're quite aspirational or something that they could relate to more so than a $1 million celebrity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just it's probably a more intense strategy in the sense that you've got to target a lot more bloggers and a lot more
it's
podcasters.
Very consuming.
Yeah, it's quite labour intensive, but I guess for us, it's just kind of new wave advertising, really. Like, people don't really engage with a flat page in a magazine that they just flip straight past on their way to the next article. We really wanted, I guess, real people talking about the brand rather than just advertisements that we constructed.
And people who we felt were on brand for us, and I think these influencers are, more and more are popping up, and they're becoming more and more picky as to the brands they align themselves with as well. So,
do you mind if I ask how old you two are?
this is Erica, I just turned 25.
And I'm 28.
So you guys, you said you don't watch The Voice. One of you said you don't own a TV. So give us some insight then to what media people of your age can consume and where you get your information to make purchases from. And ain't that a can of worms right there?
The internet is a vortex that probably controls all of our lives. And also, we love reading, so the more tangible side. But we kind of, I guess, gain a lot of inspiration just by working with people sort of in a similar industry. And we read a lot of content online and, I guess, look at brands, look at blogs, look at individuals speaking about particular things. Yeah, I guess it's more about searching out content that we are looking for or that we value, as opposed to what potentially the TV would dictate that we look at.
We haven't got one.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't miss it at all. Jess and I used to live together at one stage, and we had a TV and it was never on. We contemplated sticking just a picture over it. Would have been more entertaining.
Tell me, you talk about searching out, Erica. What do you mean by searching out content?
Well, I guess if we meet new people and discuss certain things, and we're all, I guess, quite inquisitive and we'll want to know more and be informed about particular topics. And then if we hear about other businesses or products, I'll be the first person that will kind of put a note in my phone and then look at it later. And that may be quite, part of the success of Frank, that we are always looking at what other brands are doing, seeing what we feel they're doing right or wrong or could be done better. And just sharing content at Willow, we try and send each other articles, be it information or whether it's just creative pieces of writing, stuff to kind of broaden our own scope. I don't think that you can be a good writer unless you read a lot.
Yeah. And it's no doubt that, Frank has done really well in the time that it's been around, but I don't think that any of us really believe that we know it all. We're always constantly learning, and being the bosses, there aren't really other people above us that we can go to for advice. So we kind of seek that out in other ways, and that's predominantly just through reading.
Yeah, and because I guess the platform that we're marketing Frank on, or social media, is changing every day, so we need to be amongst all of that and reading about it and adapting to that. So it seems the most relevant, I guess, platform to us to be engaged in.
Gotcha. Tell me again. 46-year-old bloke trying to get his head around this part of of social media and what Frank are doing with it. You have got you got a lot of followers on Instagram. On your Facebook, you have got you post a lot of stuff and you get a few likes. You don't get a lot of conversation happening. Likewise on Pinterest. And I guess the question is, what's important in that area? So if you post something on Facebook, a picture with a quote on it, and you get 70 likes, is that a win? Or the fact that you've got no comments, is that disappointing? How do you evaluate the success of, say, your Facebook activity?
Facebook has always kind of been a secondary platform to us, mostly because the engagement levels on the platform are so low. I think it has about 6% organic reach before you need to start pumping quite a lot of dollars into.
Doesn't that do your head in?
Yeah. I think it's something that, and even for Willow and Blake, that it's just a shift in perception for clients and business owners in that they need to start looking at the platform as a paid medium. And when you do that and invest money in it and not see it as an expense but an investment, you will start seeing that return.
Yeah. And so then I guess for us it became a decision as to where we put our advertising dollars. And we do put some into Facebook because we definitely see the merit of the platform. It's not dead by any means, but it's just a much slower build than it is for something like Instagram.
Got me thinking. I about 2 years ago had the guys from Black Milk on, and they, at that time, absolutely nailing Facebook. And I remember asking Cameron, said, if you had to choose between having Facebook and having your website in order to run your business, what would it be? And he said Facebook. I wonder whether that would change, whether you'd get the same answer today.
Yeah, I think it would probably just shift towards Instagram. Like, we find there are so many small business owners where Instagram is their main source or traffic provider for sales. So, and some people run it just through email inquiries and direct bank transfers, but it's just being able to have that constant engagement and being able to share or network with other individuals online, which is kind of being a catalyst for growth for businesses.
Is it not dangerous to put all your eggs into other people's baskets, i.e. Instagram, Facebook? You're pretty prolific on Pinterest, as opposed to building your own domain, your own website. I know you've got a blog, but that's kind of where it finishes.
Well, it's quite interesting that you say that. It's a really big focus for us at the moment. I guess Frank essentially did start as a smaller side project and one that we knew we really wanted to push through social media because that was what we knew best. We didn't actually have Pinterest or Twitter when we started, but we began those accounts once we started pushing into new markets where they were the more predominantly used platforms. Building like a website where it's a bit more content rich and having people come there as well as just our social media platforms is quite important to us. I guess it's just a stage by stage thing, It's quite a big undertaking.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're only like, gosh, what is it, 16 months old? So like early days.
I mean, we actually had our first birthday about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, happy birthday!
Thanks. Yep. we had lots of cake.
Lots of scrubbing up.
Yeah.
Coffee cake.
Lots of coffee cake, espresso martinis.
I love it. I'm guessing you did. Hey, I had a fellow Ryan Clark from Cactus Skincare on a few weeks ago.
Yep.
It was quite it was an interesting interview. It caused a lot of discussion. Ryan, his marketing strategy was different to yours. Ryan had gone to all sorts of lengths to improve the way he looked, the way he spoke, the events that he went to, his ability to get in front of celebrities, B, C, D listers. Mm-hmm. And that was the whole Cactus Skincare strategy, which felt very superficial, but I thought he redeemed himself in the interview, and it was really quite enlightening. Any thoughts on that?
I think that there is a lot of merit in influencers, and whether it's a D-grade celebrity or just a girl with a local following. It's just looking at them as new target markets or demographics and not really excluding one or the other, but focusing on them potentially at different stages, which is a big thing for us. Not, like you said, putting all our eggs in one basket or trying to do everything at once, but working on things and giving them our attention in full. We have definitely, I guess, taken the approach of working with probably local influencers as opposed to the bigger names.
I guess it's
fair enough.
What felt right for our brand. You know, it's not by any means a cheap product, but I wouldn't say it falls into that kind of high-end or premium category either. It's somewhere in the middle, so it makes sense that our marketing reflects that.
I reckon it's cheap. $16.95.
Yeah, $14.95.
$14.95.
Price point.
Come on, put it up.
It's funny. People did say that to us when we were sort of just talking about how the business, when it was going to launch, but we really wanted something that was accessible to everyone, and our target market being the audience of Instagram, which was girls potentially from 18 onwards. So we wanted it to be something that they didn't hesitate in purchasing, and because it's such simple ingredients, we weren't going to try and rip people off in any way.
How many scrubs do you get out of a 200-gram pack?
Well, we do say it just depends how dirty you want to get. So some people say they get about 8 to 10 scrubs, or we would say that it could last you a month, depending if you're scrubbing every day and trying to actually target a problem area, or if you're just using it once a week as kind of a full body exfoliator.
Right. Okay.
So it is quite good value for money, but I guess we just wanted people as well to think that if perhaps they didn't like the product or it wasn't for them, that they wouldn't feel like they've parted with a lot of money, and it's just that, sure, I'll give it a go, it's only $14.95.
There's so many lines here. I'm sitting on my hands, biting my tongue, girls. Let's talk sex.
Okay.
Yeah. Does sex sell? I've looked at your Pinterest, I've looked at your Instagram, I've looked at your Facebook. Pinterest, I think, is the naughtiest of your platforms.
Really?
In fact, you've got one board too naughty for Instagram, and that's where the nipples. That's where nipples live. So, does sex sell? Because I would argue, and you can pull me up here, but I would argue that this Frank Body brand verges on soft porn, glamour kind of, tonality.
I think I think sex sells. That's a given. That's a tested formula that people have been utilizing for decades. I think the difference with Frank is that it's very relevant in that this is a product that you use on your body when you are naked, and I think sometimes that gets overlooked. Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense to us that we're talking about the female form and embracing, I guess, the naked body. Mm-hmm. We try to be cheeky and I think know where our boundaries are in terms of trying not to sexualize women, but more just not shame the body into something that you don't talk about.
Yeah, I think you walked that line well.
Yeah, I think, and that's what it is with Frank. It's all about the subtlety of our messaging, never crossing that line, and more making women feel comfortable in their own skin, and celebrating the female form.
Well, to that end, I think you should, as a marketing agency that you have, try and get the Big M account and bring back the Big M girl.
Or maybe Chico Rolls. We should.
Yeah. That was always a bit weird, but certainly the Big M girl, I mean, that to me, that's my growing years. They were my formative years right there. And I want to thank every girl who ever was a Big M girl. Now, I don't want to get all emotional here either, girls. What other marketing do you do? Just before, we've talked a lot about social media. You mentioned electronic direct mail before, EDMs.
Yes.
Is that something that you are build? So you've got a list that you build a list every time someone buys. Obviously, you're building a decent size list. What do you then roll out to them email wise?
I guess for us, again, taking that personal approach of content that we'd be happy to receive in our inbox during the day. Obviously, a lot of brands use EDM, so you want something that people are willing to engage in. So it flows on from the rest of our tone of voice on social and our website, being cheeky and fun and simple or straight to the point. We do some little things like picking Frankfurts of the month, so picking out user-generated content that we like the most.
Picking Frankfurts of the month? What?
Yeah.
I guess just a way to really keep
the customers involved.
Yeah,
and encouraging them to continue sharing on social. We try and, I guess, through our EDMs, link back to the website or the blog and provide a bit more background to the company or a bit of depth to the product in terms of focusing on ingredients and the benefits to a consumer, just talking about relevant things to the brand. It might be focusing on, we just did a cacao scrub, so it would be talking about chocolate. Or if when we launch in the UK, we'll be focusing on just an ode to British babes and just fun content that can take people away from, work for a day or for a couple of minutes and have a bit of fun. And just
so you're not selling? It's not overtly saying, hey, buy this. It's always it's entertainment value.
Just lifestyle content, basically. There might be very rarely a product push if we've got a new product, or a results driven EDM, but that's been very scarce.
Yeah. I guess we were just really aware of how annoying EDMs can be when brands send them to you every day or every week, just pushing their content in your face rather than actually stepping back and thinking about what the customer might want to hear and know about. And I think we noticed how regularly we were unsubscribing from certain mailing lists, and we just never wanted that to be the case for Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, it would seem to make sense that an obvious next step from a marketing perspective for you guys would be to create a show, whether that be a YouTube channel, a podcast, something that is like, it's entertaining, engaging. You guys should start to create media.
Yeah. I think it's funny, we've obviously been trying to do everything one step at a time. We work with a great branding agency in terms of Frank's look and feel and assisting us with his brand, and that's one thing that they've been pushing as well is video content, and it does seem like the next logical step. And for us, it's about finding the time and the idea to push out, but it is definitely something on the cards.
What's outside of the fact that you're busy? What's stopping you?
It's more just that we have a lot of things on the go at the moment for Frank, and it's about coming up with an idea that we're all really proud of and that we like, not doing anything just in a rush. So it's just, that's mainly it.
I guess too, having it as a secondary kind of business. I mean, you've got Willow and Blake as your primary business, and this is kind of a client of the business. Yep. So it's about balance, yeah?
Yeah, I guess it started that way, and they have essentially both become two full-time jobs running side by side. So in the effort to try and sleep, we just kind of have to shelve some ideas for a little while and get to them when we feel like we can kind of tackle them properly.
Yeah. Mind you, with a caffeine-based body scrub, wouldn't you just whack a bit of that on? That'd keep you going.
I know. You should see the amount of coffee we drink.
Really?
I think after about 4, it starts working in reverse, and then you just go into a caffeine-induced coma.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of, you start to get the jitters.
Yeah.
Love it, guys. Thank you so much for sharing some great insights into a cool little brand that is in its very, very early days.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Sex bomb, you're a sex bomb.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Before I share my top 3 learnings from it, let me share a pro tip from Swiftly. Now, as you know, Swiftly is all about doing small design jobs fast, like in less than 1 hour, for a massive $19 US. But Swiftly have just upped the ante. Now they're offering over 2,000 creative templates, free. We're talking Facebook banners, Twitter backgrounds, business cards, letterheads, plenty more. You can personalise them yourself or get Swiftly onto it for just $19. Now that's got to be good for business. Check them out at swiftly.com. That's SWIFTLY. Okay, team, 3 tips from that little fireside chat with the girls from Frank Body. Number 1, brands are a point of difference. You got to build one. Get clear on your brand's personality and live it. If you don't know how to do that, inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum, there is a tutorial, I don't know what you want to call it, a recorded webinar that I did on my branding process and the questions that you need to ask in order to get clear on your business's brand. You buy a business, you build a brand. Number 2, seek user-generated content. You don't need to create all the content yourself. I don't create all the content myself. I interview people. How are you going to generate user-generated content in your business? It's a great marketing strategy. Tip number 3, sex sells. Ha! Like we didn't know that, team. But I don't know whether we see it enough in this politically correct world. Hey, maybe I might have a rant about that in a future episode. We've spoken enough about it today, but, should be more of it. Getting politically incorrect. Oh, gee, tripping over my words. That means it is time to finish the show. Hey, team, now leave a comment about that episode. What did you think? Good, bad, indifferent. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Love to see you inside the forum. Big thanks to Net Registry for getting your online marketing sorted swiftly. Small design fixes done real fast. Lots of very interesting guests coming up, I promise you. We have got a guy who's making a fortune from reviewing frozen foods. We've got these travel bloggers who are traveling around the world blogging and making a good living off the back of that. I've got a guy from a removalist company who is nailing outsourcing. Boy, oh boy, too much marketing goodness just dripping for the ceiling. Enough. I'm Timbo Reid, and you've been smart enough to tune in to the world's #1 small business marketing show. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.